TYFU.
All right, we shall begin.
We shall, indeed. Have we? Okay, wait.
Totally
Now
we're starting.
Begin.
Now we're starting.
All right,
and I was like,
we're off.
The reason I paused, Marilla, is because I was like, don't we have some business to attend to? Don't we like to welcome new listeners at this stage in the show? And don't we like to remind people
do we do that
they
on
need
this
to, absolutely need to tell everyone they know immediately about this podcast. Immediately.
Yeah, because listen, we're not doing this for our health.
We're doing it for your health.
I don't know what we're doing it for, but it's not for our health. And it's so helpful if you tell everyone to listen to it. And
right
I
now.
don't care how you do it.
Yeah.
You can do it kindly. You can be the boss about it. It doesn't matter. But anyway, we need your recommendations. We need you to tell your friends.
Spread the word.
Spread the word.
That's how it grows. Okay. Exciting development, Marilla. Exciting development.
Breaking news.
In podcasting. I really felt so excited when I received at Stomping Grounds a bit of mail addressed to both you and I, but not Kelly Walker.
Oh, too bad. Too bad
for Kelly Walker.
Yes, a spit of mail. Mm-hmm. And you sent me a picture.
I took a picture.
Immediately. And I got so excited because I was like, oh my God, fan mail. And you thought,
oh my God, hate mail.
Which, end scene. Like, that's the podcast.
Right.
So then I happened to be, it was a little storybookish.
Yeah.
Because you got this cute little brown envelope and then you sent the word that you got mail, and I happened to be walking by with my dog at that very moment, and so we cracked it open, and it was not hate mail.
No, it was actually a very nice little card and letter from a listener who we don't know.
I love this. It's like a real listener who found us.
Okay, all the listeners who we do know, thank you very much. Send us mail.
Yes, please send us mail.
This was exciting because you never know who's out there listening.
And geographically,
this farther afield.
Person is far away. And so we got a little note from Muddy's Bake Shop in Memphis, Tennessee. And it was so encouraging. Like, without reading it word for word, because that's private. Just kidding. It's already on our social media. She talked about, how she enjoyed it. What was something else? Oh, something that struck me was that it was like sitting after hours with other small business owners, and that's when I died.
Yeah, because that's exactly how we want you to feel.
That's when Beth cried.
Yeah. No. Okay, I thought about crying.
Okay, you cried a little. It was just a little.
But the thing is, it's just like, it was our first fan mail, and it said exactly what we hoped it would say, that it's connecting with a small business owner somewhere out in the world who understands what we're going through, and we understand what they're going through.
And making them feel a sense of community.
Yes.
With other business owners. And gosh darn it, that is so touching.
You're going to cry now.
And I'm not going to
You're
cry.
Never going to cry.
But truly, it was just so edifying in so many ways.
Yes. So now, why are we going on and on about it? Because we love talking about it. We love talking about it. But also, to anybody who's in the Memphis, Tennessee area, please
go check out Muddy's if you haven't.
It looks fabulous.
Oh my God. If we didn't have day jobs, we'd be hopping in the car with Kelly Walker and the cats and driving to Memphis to get a cupcake.
Yep. Maybe someday.
Yeah.
All right. Now that the business is behind us.
Yes.
You want to rip an envelope?
Yes. I think you should just go right ahead.
I'm going to do it this week. And our topic is refunds.
I want my money back.
That's right. Now, Marilla.
Oh, boy.
A lot of different reasons that we might offer a refund. Or might not.
None of them are good.
Yes.
No. None of them are good enough. Yeah. Refund policies are so fraught. And they're so fraught that I didn't have one on my website for quite a while because I reserved the right to review them case by case.
Mm-hmm. And now you have a policy?
I'll have to look. Good question. Nobody Google that.
Do not go to Marilla's.
Yeah, do not go to Marillas.com and check our return policy.
Just look at the shampoo bars. That's it.
You know, I actually think we do. I think on our shipping page, we talk about how we donate a portion of our shipping to earth-friendly initiatives and that my return policy is a case-by-case basis because for the planet, I'm not in the business of sending things back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So we'll talk about it. If something happens, we do our best.
To me, that suggests that your returns, your I want my money back moments are pretty few and far between if you have the opportunity to connect with each customer on each issue and discuss it.
Well, it helps that I sell toilet paper. So not a lot of people are trying to return it.
Wow, that would be wild.
I hope I didn't jinx myself with that. But yes, I have a lot of consumables and whatnot. So just like, I don't know, just like Wegmans, I think, has a really good return policy that, like, if something's wrong, you just bring it back. And there's no questions asked.
You
return
just
policy. Give it back. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are returning their tomatoes and toilet paper. I mean, it happens, but it's not as frequent with consumables. I don't know. It's a theory.
What do you think about a business like Wegmans who has just a no questions asked return policy? Because they must get people who are returning their bananas after a week. After they've gone brown, or their strawberries have gotten moldy. They must have people bringing things back unreasonably.
I think that for a place like Wegmans and for our listeners that are farther away.
Yeah, grocery stores.
It's just a grocery store that we hold near and dear. I think that it comes from a place of privilege to be able to say you can just bring it back, no questions asked.
Oh, right, because it doesn't hurt Wegmans as much as it might hurt a smaller.
Right. I mean, Wegmans could take that bunch of bananas perfectly fresh and just throw it in the trash can and sleep like a baby. Whereas I might take that bunch of bananas that someone returned and think, I really need bananas. I'm going to bring these home and, get some use out of them.
banana bread, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just I think it's just a different place in the market. I don't have that privilege as being a teeny tiny store.
Yeah, I used to sell back in the olden days before I was so desperately filled with rage about what Amazon is.
Oof.
I used to sell as a third-party vendor on Amazon.
Okay.
And
deep, dark secrets
I know,
coming out. Beth, I didn't know that about you.
Well, listen, I was a bookseller.
Right.
And they took over the book market. And it was sort of like...
what are you going to do?
If you can't beat them, join them kind of situation. Right. And then I was like, no, I'd rather set myself on fire than sell one more book through Amazon.
Maybe we'll have a whole episode on just Amazon hating one day.
Yeah.
And that'll be the day that we get shut down.
But the point is, I know they're coming for us. Jeff is coming for us.
Be merciful, Jeff.
But he's not merciful because what it is when I haven't sold on Amazon in so long. I'm not really up to date on all the ways that they deal with third-party sellers. I doubt it's better.
Right.
But back in the day, because they had a no questions asked policy, anybody could just say it didn't show up. And then Amazon would return it and I'd get dinged. Or anybody could say they said it was in great shape and actually it's in crappy shape and I want a refund.
It's lightly
Amazon
used.
is not hurt. It just gets dinged from me because Amazon had its wide open return policy.
Yeah.
And it's really not costing them anything, but it's costing me a lot.
Right.
So that was one of the many, 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 many reasons I stopped selling on Amazon.
You broke up
but
with
it's
that
because
toxic lover.
Yeah, sure. I did. I hate to even consider them a lover.
Well,
at all, ever.
That
like so
is a
many of
privilege
my
that you don't get to take
acquaintances. But yeah, so like a big company, I think to your point, a big company can just return and maybe not feel it as much as you and I might, or a smaller company might.
Yeah. Whereas, let's just jump right into that. Every single one hurts.
Oh, the returns? Yeah.
For the little micro businesses, it's all a punch. Sometimes it's in the gut. Sometimes it's a little sock on the chin.
Sometimes it's cutting off a limb.
Yeah. They're all
painful.
They're all painful in some perspective. And they're also all, I find, they're all their own decision and circumstance, and I don't know how I could ever have a blanket policy except to say we'll talk about it and we'll figure something out. Like, I'm going to do my best.
I do accept returns within 30 days for any reason, as long as something is in the same condition, say I shipped it out in or the customer bought it in. Like,
right,
if you ran it over with your car, I'm not going to probably take it back.
That's fine.
Because that's not how it left my shop.
Right.
But I do, like, just recently, last week, we sold a print off the website, and, the customer received it in good shape and in a timely manner. And they wrote to me an email and said, I need to return this. This is much bigger than I was told. Much bigger than I was told.
Oh. Told by
your mom, told by your coworker.
I imagine you have dimensions on your website.
I do, yes. And so I wrote back and I said, I'm sorry that you were unhappy with your medium-sized torch on print that is advertised on our website measuring 18 by 22 inches.
Right.
So I
slot it on real thick.
Like, it is exactly the size that I told you it was.
Yeah.
But okay, send it back. And that person did not send it back. Maybe it's coming. Maybe it's in transit. But yeah, I'll take it back. I mean, the thing is, like, these are print on demand things for me.
Right.
So now I have an 18 by whatever. I don't remember the dimensions. Right. Whatever they are, there's bigger than the customer was told. And I'm just going to sit on that until hopefully someone orders that size, in that image, 3 months from now. But
for sure.
Otherwise, it's just waste. It's waste of time and resources, and
And there's and then in that situation, it could be months and it could be a year before you can recoup that waste. Yeah, I have had, I say that we have very few returns for things like, toilet paper, toothpaste tablets, blah, blah, blah. And part of that is because they're consumable. But part of that is, I am very privileged to have a very good-natured customer base. And we've had so many very understanding instances where a customer might not love their product, but they gift it to somebody who would. But I've had people bring back, like, bars of soap, shampoo bar. I've had someone return, it's usually like soap
that they've used.
Yeah. And they bring it back to me, and it's usually very sweet. They don't always want their money back, but they'll bring it back to me, and through the years, I've had a couple people bring it back, and then they'll be like, I don't want this. It wasn't my thing, but, I'm hoping that if I bring it back to you, you can find somebody who it would work for.
Yeah, let me give this to Kelly Walker. Too bad for Kelly Walker. Here's half a bar of soap, Kelly.
Yeah, too bad. But to bring it back to the brown bananas, I am not too proud to say that I have cut the little edges off the soap and used it myself.
Well, you told on the podcast one time you did that with a chapstick or something like that.
Yes. Yep, I cut the top off a chapstick. I've cut the edges off soap. I've washed a shampoo bar and used it. Just because I can't really afford. I mean, yeah, I could.
Also, you're low waste. You're not going to just toss something in the garbage.
It's two facets for me. So I don't want to lose the investment. I also don't want to waste the product, which is usually wonderful. And we do vet a lot of our products. So it's not usually, this is a terrible product. It's usually like, I don't know, I'm a very sensitive person and it wasn't the right smell, or it wasn't, whatever. So there's usually nothing wrong. But then if something's defective, we'll take it right back, no questions. Try to get it replaced if people ask, like if it's something that's truly defective, and then that's my problem and I have to go to the company and see if we can work something out. I don't put that on the customer. So basically, I'm just so reasonable, and everybody should buy things from me. Like when Kelly Walker bought the shaving brush that we could harken back to our episode with Carly from Zafiro.
Yeah, the customer's always right.
The customer's always right. When Kelly brought back his shaving brush, I was the picture of service, and I was like, oh, Kelly, I'll eat that $20. It's fine. He brought it back twice. We're getting pantomimes from Kelly Walker, our producer here.
Yeah, I don't remember what episode that was, your gravy moment, but there was a lot of talk about like when the customer's just dead wrong and they expect returns, or the customer's unreasonable. They've had something for a year or two and then they want to return it because it's defective.
Sometimes, I don't know about you, Beth, but do you ever know that nothing is wrong with it, or know that it's user error entirely, but you're just not ready to fight it that day?
Well, yes. I mean, I think in a way this is why Wegmans might have a no questions asked return policy, because right, like sometimes I'm just like, I don't even want to spend half an hour on this.
Right.
My half an hour I could be making money doing something else rather than kind of like just throwing good money after bad in a way by like having a difficult customer interaction, where I'd really just rather make them happy, take the stuff back. Here's your, it's like that time I was telling the story about the woman who bought the puzzle.
With the puzzle,
and
yes.
She wrote to me this kind of like snippy email about she doesn't know if I have grandkids, and she hopes I never have to see my grandkids disappointed because a puzzle is missing a piece.
Missing, yes.
And we're all sitting here thinking, okay. Right.
None of us would have given her a refund.
I did.
In that moment, it was worth your time. So it's an interesting tightrope to walk, because we're always walking tightropes.
I also suspect that there are people out in the world who love a fight, and they are just going around their lives looking to have a fight or be dissatisfied or be angsty about one thing or another. It's not worth my $20 to get involved in that. Yeah. But I say that now as a business that's a little bit more established, like Wegmans or Amazon.
Of course. Yes.
Right.
The Holy Trinity. Stomping grounds, Amazon, and Wegmans. Yes.
Right. We're all at a point in our...
I'd like an oil painting.
Of Jeff, Danny Wegmans, and me. Yes. Danny Wegmans. Okay. Oh. Well, anyways, I do sometimes just avoid a fight.
Yeah.
Avoid the hassle. Here's $20. Have a nice day.
Yeah, and
please come again or not.
Right, and I find that more often than not, just like the puzzle lady, when you gave her a refund, people are pleasantly surprised that you aren't going to fight them, or maybe not pleasantly surprised. Maybe they're disappointed.
Disappointed.
But they're shocked and in awe that you're not going to fight them over that and quibble over that. And it kind of like throws people off balance. I had somebody recently come in and return a product that, if I'm going to be honest, I think it was user error. And after inspecting the product, and I took it right back, refunded, there you go, be on your merry way. And we gave her no fight. My manager was great. She was like, this happened, here it is, da 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 da. Come to find out, this woman then contacted the business that the product was from. Like, I sell it, it's made by this other business. She took the time out of her day after she got a refund from me to send an email to the company and tell them how disappointed she was in their product and blah, 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 blah. And I just felt so bad for the business that had to hear about it from her. But I think it was a little bit of she was expecting a fight.
And she didn't get one from you, so then she needed to take it to the level up.
And she,
right?
yeah, so she had to take it to the level up. Whereas I, the retailer, try to kind of be a screen. If I can see that it's a user error or an explainable error in a product, like, I don't know, something got dropped and it was scratched or something like that, something random. If I can see that, I don't usually bother the maker with that. Mm-hmm. It's uncontrollable, you know? So I try to protect my makers from that by just saying, you know, here's your money back. Do you want another one? No, whatever. But it didn't work this time. She needed to, contact that maker and tell them what was wrong with their product and that there was a mistake. And, you know, I heard about it.
Yeah. It's like if Wegmans takes the bananas back and they're all brown and the customer doesn't feel satisfied with the response and therefore has to go to the banana plantation and talk with the manager.
And talk to the banana grower and be like, you should be ashamed of your planting, banana man or woman.
Or person, banana person.
Or person.
Yep.
Yes. And so I just thought that was really interesting. And mind you, between us business owners, we weren't really saying anything particularly ill of this person.
Sure.
But it did come up. And we did wonder at it a bit. And so if you're someone who's doing that or considering doing that, I'll tell you what, you're going to get talked about
on the podcast.
And we still love you, but boy, howdy, I don't have that kind of energy or time.
Well, speaking of user error, like there's been moments where I'm selling books online and a title will, you know, I don't know, indicate to a customer that, like, if I might sell a book that's called like Song of the Lark, and then the customer will get it and they'll be like, this isn't even about birds, you know what I mean? Like, or something even more outrageous, like the title has nothing to do with what they think it's about.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's another good
example. False advertising.
I know. That
no
kind
mockingbirds
of
are killed.
Yeah, so I'll be like, I'm so sorry, send it back, you know?
Again, not worth the fight. If someone is mad about the lack of mockingbirds in To Kill a Mockingbird, there's no amount of quibbling professionally that you can do that will convince them to be happy with their purchase.
I know. And they're going to be like, I misrepresented the product is what they're going to be accusing me of.
Right. It's interesting because as far as returns go, when you are a shop that sells a myriad or that represents a myriad of makers and businesses, you're almost like a rep for every single one of those businesses.
Yeah, that's true.
In our everyday selling, but in the return part of it, we're like quality control. We're like, it's just an interesting, we're a middleman.
This has happened where someone has asked me what my return policy is.
Okay.
And I say, you can bring anything back within 30 days.
You fool.
Right. And the woman actually said, well, I don't think I'll have time to read it by then.
What?
Like,
I'm sorry, what, ma'am?
And said it so like...
Ma'am?
Flatly like... What? Well... Obviously, I get the fact that she's only going to buy it to read it and then return it.
Yeah, of course.
Like, and I'm like, we're all in on this together.
Duh. Yes. Only an idiot would buy a book and keep it.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So I don't know.
Did she?
Not that I recall.
Bring it back?
Not that I recall.
She didn't finish reading it.
Maybe she didn't even buy it. This was a few years ago, so I don't remember.
Probably just a couple chapters shy.
Yeah. Right. Maybe she could take it out from the library if she didn't get a chance to finish it.
I've heard of these places that you can actually do it for free.
Yeah, right.
And then bring it back in 60 days, really.
Maybe if she didn't bring it back within 30 days, I should have started charging her a late fee. That's a good way to make money too.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my, I don't even know what to add to that. That story stands on its own.
You don't go to Marilla's and or Wegmans for that matter and buy the bananas and eat the bananas and then be like, here's the peel. Yeah.
Yeah. I have had some interesting feedback though. Do you ever have, now this is a little bit different than a return. Do you ever have people give you feedback that's entirely negative about something and they're it's like the martyr customer? They're not returning it.
Oh yeah.
But they want you to know that they've been personally martyred by your product. Yeah, they didn't like it that much, but they wouldn't do that to you. And I'm like, okay, well, thanks for telling me that. Riddle me this, Beth, because this might be unique to my business. Are there any products that you have returned on a regular basis because you can't possibly quality control or check it?
No.
Okay. So for me, in my store, I sell soap pumps and I sell spray bottle triggers for cleaning bottles.
Mm-hmm. I love your hand motions that are going on right now.
If only we could have visual for this, but you're just going to have to imagine it sitting at home by your fireplace. So one out of every 100 soap pump or 100 spray bottle trigger thing doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And people are always like, well, how dare you sell this soap pump? Because
from their point of view, it's 100%.
Yeah.
It's 100% of the soap pump that they've ever bought from you.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes if you've been a customer with me for almost 5 years, you might have gotten 2 duds in a 5-year span. Yeah, look at Kelly. He's a victim of this.
I'm really surprised Kelly keeps showing up at your store.
No, after the abuse that he has had to endure. But there's always this they're very sweet and they come in and they're it's more of a, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. That you would give me this dud soap pump or spray bottle. And, every time, just so you know, out there listening in the void, if you bring me back a soap pump and a spray bottle, I will always replace it. No questions asked. I mean, I might test it, but.
And then you should write to the manufacturer immediately and complain to them too.
And I always replace it because I say to them, that's just one of those products. There's no way to test it.
Yeah.
I can't test it for you. Or else it's used, So it's just, I have to roll the dice on that. And I know that every now and again, every 500, 100, whatever, there will be a dud because of just human error. But every time I have to endure the scolding from
Kelly.
Kelly.
Yeah.
And just grit my teeth and be very sweet. Mm-hmm. Even though.
Well, riddle me this, Marilla.
Ooh. I actually am not good at riddles, for anyone wondering.
I know, but it is fun to say that. Have you ever had a situation where you had a web order and you popped your item in the mail and USPS or FedEx or UPS, basically set some dynamite on it and it arrives with the customer completely either wrecked or not at all?
So for me, I've never, knock on wood.
Kelly loves that.
Knock on wood. I have never had anything arrive completely destroyed. Thank you, USPS, for being so kind with my parcels. I have, however, had customers contact me and say, it says my package was delivered. It's nowhere to be found. And that is one of the most helpless feelings you can ever have, because you know, as the business owner, you know you have no control over that. Someone could have stolen it off your porch. It could have been blown up by dynamite. It could have been any number of things, but you know it wasn't your hands that lost it, but it will be your hands that have to
hit the buttons to return that.
Hit the buttons to return that, and then or possibly send a whole nother duplicate.
Yeah,
if
sure.
you
Exchange it.
Yeah. And depending on how big that order is, it dictates how sweaty I get when someone sends me that email that says it's not there. So thankfully, I think all but a couple of those, it hasn't happened very frequently, but all but a couple of those, I've said, okay, I'm going to take your tracking number to the post office and we're going to see what's going on, as if I can do anything.
Right.
I can't, in case now you guys know that I can't. I just outed myself. I can't do anything about that, but I always say I'll go to the post office, I'll check with them, see if anything got returned maybe. But thankfully those usually have come out that, oh, we found it at our neighbor's house, or, oh, it came the next day, or it works itself out. So I have not had to replace a $200 order yet.
I have.
I bet.
Yeah, because those books, I mean, every single one of them is sent with tracking. And sometimes a customer will complain that it hasn't arrived, and I'll look at the tracking and it's, basically unknown. Ooh. So you go over to the post office and you're like, what does this mean? And they're like, oh, we don't know. And so
if it states away,
yes,
what can you do?
Nothing except issue a refund. And sometimes things have been marked arrived and through tracking, and then the customer complains that it's not. I don't always believe them, but
have you ever lost anything rare that way?
I think probably $200 is the most I've ever lost on that. And it's ouchy.
That hurts.
Yep. Things that have been damaged by a shipping carrier, usually it just falls on us to replace it. I'll often ask people to send pictures to show me the damage.
Do you get your money back from UPS when that happens? Like,
no,
do you share your pictures with them?
Because you can insure things that you send through USPS, but the cost of insurance, when this happens so infrequently,
like doubles your shipping sometimes.
Yeah, so I'll just eat the occasional problem to save myself the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars I'd be paying to insure every single package that goes out.
Right. Yeah. So returns. How do we feel about them? Personally attacked and victimized.
Well, because a lot of the time it is not our fault, and we're still eating it anyway.
Yep.
But what happens when it is your fault? Can you tell me any stories about?
Oh, for sure. I mean, let's see. I mean, well, the soap pumps and the spray bottles are my fault. That's
sort of.
I mean, not really, but it's a faulty product that I sold. And so I'm always quick to side with the customer. Like in the sense of, if it's wrong and it was my fault, I am on your side as the customer. I don't want you to have a bad experience in my store, and I don't want to provide a faulty product or a faulty experience. And so I'm always on your side, and I'm always like, okay, let's make this right. Like, obviously, I didn't mean to do this. I'm not intentionally giving you bad experiences or products, but on the off chance that it happens, I want to make it right. So I'm also not a millionaire. So sometimes that means if it's a low cost product, I can just say, you know what? That sucks. Like, that's awful. Let me just give you your money back, or swap it for a different one or whatever. If it's a really high priced item, and it's my fault, I'll talk to them and see how the customer feels about store credit or something that might work out mutually beneficial for both of us, only if I don't feel like I can recoup it. But I try to approach it with humility. I give them a little shoulder rub. I pat them on the back. Not Kelly.
You give them
Kelly,
a spanking.
No. Give them a little spank on the tush on the way out.
All right, that's a harken back to the episode on boundaries.
Yes.
Marilla doesn't usually spank her customers.
Not usually, but you never know. So yeah, I mean, I make nice. I am not on my high horse if I know that I'm in the wrong. If it's you, I'm on a very high horse.
Me personally?
No. If it's the customer that is wrong.
It's not all about me?
Yeah, sorry, Beth, settle down. This is my podcast too. So yeah, I try to just be humble and remember that I'm not always perfect.
Yeah.
And yeah,
it's painful though.
It hurts.
Painful when we're not perfect.
It hurts.
Because we do try really hard to give everybody a good experience.
And we have to admit in those moments that sometimes the back room is on fire.
Yeah. So I asked if you were ever in the wrong completely, because I recently was in the wrong quite a bit. No, maybe not completely.
Like
but
60,
a
40.
lot. I was a lot in the wrong. And
all right.
And this is a painful one. A customer had a frame job. Recently, I completed the framing job. It looked awesome. Mm-hmm. And so, as is my usual procedure, I went ahead and took a picture of it and posted it for Framing Friday.
Framing Fridays. Follow Stomping Grounds Geneva on Instagram.
Well, not anymore, Marilla, because I have discontinued. Well, still follow us, but not for Framing Friday. Because what happened was we posted this picture and I completely ruined the surprise because the recipient saw it. Didn't realize it was coming, and definitely realized it was for her.
It was for her.
Yeah, but it was super obviously for her.
Because it was a nude of her husband.
It was a nude of her husband. And so anyway, I ruined the surprise.
And now you will no longer be posting nudes of other people's husbands.
Not anymore. I just can't. I mean, I keep them here with me in my little file.
Your little file of nude husbands.
But I felt so badly about it. And even though this was a really expensive job, the customer had a balance. She had done a partial payment, and I ruined the surprise. And so I was like, I'm going to cover the balance. And I'm so sorry that happened. And it was not an inexpensive mistake.
Right.
But yeah.
But you know, that I think, again, this brings it back to that case by case.
Yeah.
You know, every situation is different. And you have to just look at each situation with fresh eyes. Like, you know, the details of how you felt about that as a business owner, and how, you know, you wanted to make amends for that as your business owner. And that reminded me of a mistake that I made. It reminded me of a situation that just happened recently, that I had to return something. It was around Christmas. Somebody had ordered something that I special order because it's a very expensive item. And they wanted one for someone for Christmas gift. I was like, okay, we're going to make this happen. We go back and forth. There was some misunderstanding with the company. We got that sorted out. The clock is ticking. Christmas is getting closer. We get it sorted out. It's all figured out, and they ship it. It doesn't look like it's going to get here in time. So now I'm reaching out to this customer and I'm saying, I am so sorry. It's on its way, but I don't know if it's going to be here in time for Christmas. So I'm already feeling bad that it might not get here in time. The customer was above and beyond understanding and sweet. She was like, you have so much on your plate. Do not worry about it. You're not going to ruin Christmas. I completely understand. I'm like crying on the other side of the computer because she's so nice. It doesn't get here in time for Christmas. It gets here the day after. And so I said, I'm going to make sure I get this to you. I'm going to drop it off and we're going to get it to you. I'll send you an invoice. You can settle up with me later. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. I drop it off. 2 days later, she sends me an email and just like, I'm really sorry to say this, but I think this is the wrong size.
Oh, gosh.
And I was like, no, it can't be. It can't be. So I'm like looking back through the communications, and at some point between me and this company, with all the confusion that happened, the wrong size got confirmed, and it was indeed the wrong size. And it was a size that was more expensive than what she wanted. And so then we had to go back to, I went back to the company. I explained what was happening. We got a replacement for her, which, you know, was a little bit expensive. But again, it was my mistake. And she was still so patient and kind. I absolutely couldn't, like, I couldn't just comp the whole thing for her financially, but I completely ate the mistake.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll be, it's fine, but it was just so much of a, I am so sorry. This is entirely my mistake, and it was late. And then when it did get here, it was wrong. And then I finally got it all sorted out, and it was even later. It was just a whole big, bad mistake. And so it wasn't technically a return, but it was a reorder, and it was my fault. And now I just have a very expensive item that I will someday sell, and it'll be great.
I had a similar situation recently. I had a big oversized framing job, and it required a big oversized mat board. And I don't, like, because it's a special order thing, I don't have these on hand. So I ordered the big oversized mat board, and I set it up on the mat cutter, and I go to cut it for the customer's job. And for whatever reason, Bevel, which is the name of our mat cutter,
Yes.
we just call her Bevel. She just mangled the whole thing. Like, she like took it in her claws
and it was
just
over.
like ate it.
Yeah.
It was like completely wrecked.
It was a horror film.
Yes, it was. It was.
Beth was screaming.
It was quite dramatic. But anyway, I couldn't use it for the framing job. So I called the customer. The order wasn't late or anything. I just said it's going to be a little bit longer than I expected because I have to reorder this mat board.
But you ate that whole mat.
The customer said, well, please let me pay you for the extra mat board.
Oh, my
And of course I said no.
Yeah,
it wasn't her
right,
fault. And
right.
that's something that I'm going to eat. And
Right.
I don't want to say gladly eat, but certainly she doesn't have to pay extra for my mistake.
Oh my God. But when customers behave like that,
I know.
Holy smokes. We'll give you the whole store and we'll cry with gratitude as we do it. Yeah.
I know. I couldn't believe she even thought of it.
That's so sweet.
That's the opposite end of somebody wanting to return a half-used bar of soap.
Yeah. That's literally someone's returning the bar of soap, and the next person in line says, you know what? I'll take that. I'll pay full price. And then I cry. Tears of joy and gratitude. Returns.
I have a funny one to tell you. A funny one. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is the last one that I have for
I'm
you
here
on
all
my
night.
list.
I'm sleeping over, so... We can tell stories all night. Yeah, I didn't tell you that until now.
Were you invited? Okay. You're always invited. Open door, obviously. Around Christmas time, customer came in. She's a mom. Her son does a lot of framing. So I know him well as a customer, and I know the mom kind of casually. She came in and she said that she'd like to get a gift certificate for her son to do some framing. And I was like, okay, how much would you like the gift certificate for? And she said, $400. And I said,
pretty nice gift certificate.
$400.
Come on, Beth.
That is very generous.
Oh, come on, Beth. Don't be a nerd.
She's like, do you think it's enough? And I was like,
Don't be a nerd.
I think so. I talked her out of spending $800, Marilla.
Yeah.
No, I just said, I think it'll be plenty for what he usually frames.
Right.
And so I rung her in for her $400 gift certificate. And the next day, she came back in and she said, I need to return this gift certificate. I was like, oh, okay.
Okay.
And she said, yeah, you charged me $400. And I said, for $100.
Oh my God. Thank God you didn't ask her if she wanted to do 800.
Or just assume. But that was a little embarrassing. But she thought it was my mistake because she didn't realize that I heard.
Did you tell
400? I did. And I was like,
oh my goodness.
I apologized. And we kind of laughed. But I don't think she was laughing when she got home and checked her charges for the day.
That's her whole car payment to Stomping Grounds.
I know.
Woo. So yeah, returns. A wily beast that we wrangle on a daily basis. Well, not daily.
No, in fact, pretty rarely, right?
Very
For you
rarely.
and me, it's pretty rare.
So rare that I almost forget how to do them. That's how rare it is.
All right. So anything else that you want to share with our listener tonight?
I feel 10 pounds lighter. I feel like I can walk out of here with a pep in my step. The usual.
I feel a little depressed about how many returns that we have that aren't even our fault, but I'm glad you feel better.
Yeah, I got it all out. Now it's all on you guys. Yeah, but before we go,
let's do a 5-star review.
Let's do it.
Okay, so this week's 5-star review is going to be for Water Street Cafe in Geneva, New York.
Oh, boy, do I love them. I love them.
What do you love about them, Marilla?
Well, I might be giving the paparazzi too much information here, but you can find me at Water Street Cafe every Sunday morning.
Really?
Pretty much, yeah. Joe and I do breakfast dates on Sunday morning because a lot of times my evenings are too busy for the man that I love. So we go to Water Street and we have a good meal every time. I think we've been going for like 2 years now. And I've yet to have an egg not cooked the way I want it. The staff is very sweet. They are always coming up with new specials.
Teresa, I think, has talked to us. Last time I was at Water Street Cafe, she mentioned to me that one of her biggest pet peeves is getting a 4-star review, like a glowing yes, 4-star review.
As we're recording, less than 24 hours ago, I believe she sent me a screenshot of another glowing 4-star review. People love Water Street. They have tons of 5-star reviews, but they also have tons of really, really extremely positive, nothing wrong, loved everything, 4-star reviews. I know. And Teresa runs Water Street Cafe with James, and they have just made it such a fun place for the community. They feed the colleges, they feed the first responders, they feed the linemen when the power goes out.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
Yeah.
It's a good spot. A lot of charm, a lot of heart, good food, good prices.
And they've kept it going. It's been in Geneva for many, many, many years.
They haven't owned it that long, though,
And they took it over and kept it going a few years ago. And yeah, if you go, try the herring platter. It's the perfect amount of food for breakfast.
All right, so Water Street Cafe, 5 stars.
Check it out.
We chat about the biz, it is the way it is. Thank you for understanding.
We sincerely thank you for understanding. Please visit us at tyfupod.com to learn more about the show, share prompt ideas, or tell us about your own small business experiences. We may include your story in a future episode. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube at tyfupod or on tyfupod.com. Our theme song was composed by Marilla Gonzalez. The show is produced by Kelly Walker. Too bad for Kelly Walker.
You got to listen to the bitter end for the little gold nugget of wisdom.